The way you win arguments is you change the language. And the IMF and the EU have changed the language. So now we are told we have a bailout. And a bailout gives you the impression that we're all together in a little boat and you're bailing me out. In effect, you're helping me. But this is not what's happening. What's happening now is we, the Irish people, are giving money to the very banks who lent to the Irish banks to bankrupt this country in the first place. That is what's happening. And the IMF and the European Union are simply acting as the middlemen between us and the banks that destroyed our country by lending to our own banks who then pushed money into the economy. So the first thing to understand is that it's not a bailout, it's a loan. Financial markets take the rough with the smooth. You win some, you lose some. That's why the man says in the ads, the value of shares can go down as well as up. So the markets knew that they were taking a risk. And they also know that you don't win all the time, which is why every single fund that you will buy has a contingency for loss, because loss is part of the game. Now they have lost in Ireland. We have no business in giving them money. They took a risk, they lost, we move on.
What particularly annoys me about the bank bailout is the way the story has been spun in Europe. So you have Sarkozy or Barroso standing up with a straight face saying, you know, you as European citizens are having to bail out Irish banks. The truth is the exact opposite. The Irish taxpayers are having to bail out European banks. The Irish banks are long dead. The European taxpayers are going to make a profit from this because they're borrowing at 3% and lending to us at 6%. Who actually bears the cost of this? It's the Irish taxpayer. Who's actually being saved? It's not the Irish banks, it's the European banks.
Ireland has benefited hugely from Europe. I think it's natural that Irish politicians are Europhile. I'm a big supporter of the European project myself, and so it's difficult, I suppose, to pick fights with your European partners. I think that one thing people need to remember is that the European Central Bank is just a central bank. It's not run by democratically elected politicians. It doesn't represent ordinary people like us. They're central bankers. They have a very clear agenda. The agenda is try to preserve European banking systems from the consequences of their own foolish mistakes. They don't really care about us. But European politicians, I think, understand. I think they understand that the market has got to be made work for ordinary people.
The majority of the bondholders in Irish banks are German, French and Belgian, and some of the UK banks and financial institutions. Of course, that reason itself, from my point of view, shows the immorality of the current approach to the resolution of the banking case and banking problems in the banking sector as well.